Okie dokie. Now. I have to get the train today. Now, the 5:20 train didn't go past this morning. The 6:20 did, though. The 5:20, I usually wake to the 5:20 train. Now we're going to have 3 very cold days. Irrelevant. The weather is the weather. I'm all done up already to go to the town. Gotta have my eye tooth pulled out and a cap. Right. No worries about that at all. All that matters is I remember to put a note, because this is my fridge and that has to go in the bonnet. Note saying, remember the chicken legs. I very rarely have meat. Much prefer fish. Anyway, let's keep away from such dull subjects as that. Bizarrely, I've been sat here 7 or 8 months. Yesterday, the best purpose, almost the fulfillment, wrong word. It's like I didn't know I needed to meet somebody. And I met her at last yesterday. Now, if only women knew. The 60-somethings, Sue, probably 62, 63. The 60-somethings sometimes just say it like it is. But before I get to that, yeah, my life is absurdly full. I mean, meeting this woman and having a half an hour talk with her, 45 minutes. And we went for a bit of a walk together up the road. It's like, my life is too busy. Things come up. That's an absurd thing to say because I don't want anything to come up. But meeting her and that chat was just, it really was the beautiful end. Now, you can't have an end to a schism. It was the full stop. It wasn't the epilogue. It was the last chapter of 10 years very actively trying to speak with people about the environment, the truth of the environment, but 20 years really caring about it. So, before we get to that, but it's so, here's the point. You see, schism is a fine and dandy concept, but at the same time, there is truth. Encountering one person and hearing them, a very intelligent woman, here 25 years in this region. I think she's been living there 25 years. Sort of semi-retired. This is my most important possession. One day I shall riff upon that. Anyway, it's symbolic. So much in my life is artistically symbolic. This is an artistic response. I've owned this 20 years. Now anyone would think, oh, it's an ordinary plastic cup. Oh, no, it isn't. Right, to the point. Yeah, I'm so filled up. Because I heard somebody speak the truth. With me, we riffed upon the actual truth of the environment. We met under a heronry. I didn't know the heronry was there. And I have a way, I've developed a way. I don't want to. I'm never going to run a TV channel. I wouldn't want to. I've done my sort of chronicling journalism. It's in, oops, that pad is just about one person. My chronicling journalism has been in there for years. I have 2 of them. Schism, this Ralph, is licensed by only. Licensed is the key word. Unfortunately, all these words to use to discover the simple but correct usage takes 3 paragraphs of introduction. So I'm not going to do that yet. One day I will. But this Ralph, no, I am Ralph. I was always Ralph. I took the name Ralph off a man who, had he heard that conversation yesterday as dusk was approaching under a heronry, I think probably he's the only person I've ever known who would have just been stood there nodding and meant it. Ralph could never be two-faced. To him, stewarding the environment was black or white. You either do it properly or you're failing. That's why I've taken my name from him. But one person, well, I'll probably never meet her, a few months ago has licensed this Ralph. Anyway, we better forget about her, because that's what you need. You actually need one person, only one person. You can call them helpmeet, compañera. One person who is not afraid of the actual truth. And, okay, so I meet Sue last night, and immediately, so what? I found a way to speak with people 5 or 6 years ago, 7 years ago, as in my landloping. Within a minute or two, she is speaking the truth of the environment. She lives a mile up the road, next to a sort of, not really farming family, like all of them. Born and bred family who they've made a fortune from selling bits of land and outbuildings. As she said, millionaire, and building another monstrosity. But forget that. I mean, this morning, 10 minutes ago on Radio 4, Foxton's estate agent going on about 1% fall in property prices in London. I mean, this spiviness about property is so boring. But leaving aside that, to hear one person, and it's funny, over 60, it's the women that do it. Not many, but the women do it more than the men, much more. Men don't really do it, but you'll meet occasionally an over 60-year-old woman who no longer is playing this fucking game of being a conformist, got to people please everybody. No. She was passionate, and she told me the story of how the tree in front of her house, a mile up there, her neighbour, who owned the land around, but a tree in front of her house, she used to sit there for many evenings over the years and watch an owl 50 yards from her window. And that tree was chopped down, an owl lived in that tree, was chopped down deliberately by one of the locals. That's the wrong word. Just the ignorant redneck class who are the huge majority in the countryside. Oh, they might have expensive vehicles, very expensive. They may have made millions from selling their barns, bits of property, to the incomer. I always say that the whole area has become South Kensington on Wye or Hackney on Wye, to the incomer, or Clifton, Bristol Clifton on Wye. Not Wye, I'm not at the Wye. Four Rivers. Why arrow lug tame? Destroyed. And this class have colonised the last 20 years really, and they won't talk. They're incapable of actually knowing what's happened in the environment. They listen to crappy Radio 4 and get some completely false version that people are fixing it. Nope. Beautiful story, Sue tells me, and she was fuming how the tree in front of her that nobody needed. It was a tree stood alone on the periphery, the edge of her neighbour's land, who owns quite a lot of land around her property with her husband. And she even told me how the landowner or the property owner just deliberately did it when she went away or they went away on holiday. And it's like, and there was no need to cut this tree down. It was done deliberately because the redneck class who own almost everything, they have a sense of the, let's call them bunny huggers, or those who would wish nature to thrive alongside us. And this unnecessary, well, it's more than unnecessary, it's this surification of everything has even reached out here, because that's how they in the provinces make their money, attracting little Miss South Kensington up here, who doesn't really want big draggled looking trees on the periphery of some property. But forget all of that. That's what my life has been for 20 years. Monitoring, talking, trying to do something about that. Forget it. You cannot win. But to hear one person tell the truth, it's just so energizing. It's not empowering because you can't do anything about it. Because the truth of the last 20 years is these people who do understand how the reality is that nature has just a nobody cares. It's all bullshit. Farmers around burn huge piles of wood. I have loads of photograph and film, and I'd want to turn it into art one day maybe. But I wander the hills, the areas around. Farmers will deliberately burn huge piles of grubbed out wood, etc., most of which could actually be used for domestic fireplaces, etc. Nope, they kind of do it deliberately. They deliberately cut their hedges, and Sue agreed with this. They deliberately cut the hedges 5 or 6 weeks before the legal 1st of September defined legal point they can. They deliberately do it to stick their finger up, and nobody cares. But to meet one person who's angry, no, not angry, it's the wrong word, who's passionately only interested in telling the truth, that the damn lot of them are just such pig-headed whatevers. And the truth is that the whole of the environmental movement has been utterly pathetic, useless, people-pleasing and self-regarding, putting out various things in the last 20 years, suggesting they have it in hand, when they're total cowards because, as she said, well, she can't. She lives in the house next to the property owner around her. It's about an individual confronting, nicely, intelligently, an individual. Please don't do that. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. It's not necessary to do that. Or can we find a halfway house solution, perhaps? Nope. The environmental movement, the environment, the people of it, many of whom I've known for many years, cannot confront the person in their patch. Anyway, but to meet one person who speaks exactly like I do, who's very intelligent, aware of the real issues in the whole region, and then the smaller nearby region. It's not so bad here, but she's aware as I am that 10 miles away, the total industrialised farming has crept and crept and crept, and that's industrialised farming owned by the massive conglomerates who've invested in land, even round here, who run the management structures of that land. My best friend for 2 or 3 years has been a farmer who lives 15 miles there. She told me, a farming family, she doesn't really do the farming too much, but she told me that their farm, which is a tenanted farm, is managed by a London company, even out here. And those London companies, oh no, we want this. And she actually told me they want everything looking like fucking Surrey, which means cutting back habitat. Full stop. That's the truth. Anyway, I gave up 4 months ago when people failed to support a fantastic woman politician-led river initiative. But to hear one person, to encounter one person, no false politeness, and there we were, in the middle of nowhere, just her and I could have been a rapist, what's his name, Wayne Couzens. No, we immediately found a way to bond with her under a heron's nest. One person, she just wanted to get out her truth, knowledge of the truth of what people are doing around and don't care. They're total selfish, stupid. Anyway, let's not go on, because that's not the point. I knew about that years and years and years ago. But to hear one person, a woman, speaking the truth, that's the cruel, unpleasant, disastrous truth. That's what civilization is. My whole life has been worth it. I don't know what to do with it. No, I won't do anything. My soul, my spirit, my life force, because those other two words have been stolen by the fucking false spiritualist brigade. My life force is massively. I just woke up such a kind of wow. No, and I'm always constant, but it's like wow. It was worth living to this point, despite being so bored of all the fakes. It was worth living to this point. There we go. Go and get my tooth done now.